Hi, guys. Welcome back to another new episode of Horror Metal Cast Live. So happy that you guys are tuning in and joining us tonight. I'm here with Joe Moore. What's up, Joseph?
Hey, what's up, people? What's happening? Good evening to all, and thank you for tuning in to us again this week. How are you, Stevie? How you doing today?
I am amazing. And in case anybody hasn't yet noticed, I have
Yay!
no braces on.
Yay!
I got the metal out of my mouth last Wednesday, so very relieved to not have to pick my teeth every time I eat something. Just very overall ecstatic to get this fucking thing out of my mouth. So no more braces for Stevie. That's about all I really got going on. Nothing else very exciting. How about you, Joe?
Oh, yeah, you know me. I'm like a little Tasmanian devil. I'm all over the front. Yesterday, I did a Helmer recording. We'll get into that later. Was amazing. We had a great time there. I got naturally, I got 7,005 things in the frying pan. Like always, like this. We'll talk about that later. Oh, what was it? I don't know. We'll see. You'll see. Don't worry. I got just a bunch of stuff going on that I'm really happy about, and we'll get to all that later. But we got some great topics this evening, Stevie.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Let's say hello to the people in the chat. We got a couple guys and gals, or whatever.
Hello.
I know Adrian is back
Adrian.
again, always my favorite Irishman, because he's the only Irishman that I know.
He's the best Irishman. He's the best. Adrian's awesome. We love Adrian.
And Smoked Rose has been waiting at least since 5:50 or 5:50 my time.
My heart and soul, Mickey. Mickey, what's up, brother? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in, Paisan.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So let's dive right in. Quick, just gonna touch on this because Joe's not very fond of the band, but the band that won Best Metal Performance last night at the Grammys, which I didn't watch because award shows are just there to blow smoke up people's asses. But yeah, so High on Fire won for Best Metal Performance. And I said to Joe, I was like, hey, what do you think of those guys? He basically was like, I listened to them and then I turned them off.
I digress. No, I can't digress. We'd have no show if I shut up. Right? See, poor Stevie be talking to like the screen. Yeah, I don't like them. Oh, there I said it because I usually love everything. I just it's not that I don't like them. It's just not my shit. I'm maybe a purist. To me, it sounded like Godsmack went in a tunnel and ran into a Motorhead, and they got into a car and had a fight with a creamsicle or some shit. I don't know. Weird melting process there.
That's probably the most poetic thing I've ever heard.
in a twisted, abstract, weird kind of way.
Beautiful.
My innuendos are just retarded, just like me.
I will say though that Chris Cornell won for Best Rock Performance. Posthumously, his children accepted the award on his behalf, which I thought that was great.
Beautiful, yeah.
For him to win, he's a true, or he is a true legend. I don't care if he's living or dead. Chris Cornell, Soundgarden, any of his projects, all amazing stuff.
Yeah. Well, Mickey actually just ended his feed here. He said an error, maybe an error occurred on his end. He's not in the chat now, but he will be back.
Very good.
Okay, so I do agree with Chris Cornell. I'll be straight honest with everybody. I don't watch the Grammys. I used to years ago, and not to date myself, but I was back in the day when Jethro Tull and Metallica went head to head there, and there was like this big mix up there, and Jethro Tull got the best metal band nomination, and I was just like, everybody in the world just went, what the fuck, what is this? And that's pretty much when it started to dawn on people, this shit is rigged. You know what I mean? This is
I'm just not a big person on awards shows. It's all about it's less about the craft and it's all about what someone's wearing or how they're looking these days. So I'm just like over all of the award shows. I don't watch any of them.
Right. No.
Instead, last night I did watch the return, the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. I know you don't watch it anymore. A lot of people I know actually stopped watching it, but of course the show's still on, so millions of people still do. So I'll talk about that just for a minute here. I'm just not that into The Walking Dead anymore. It's kind of, Rick is gone, Carl's gone, Maggie's gone, Jesus is gone. They're just, and then now recently announced this past weekend, before the premiere even came on, was that Denai, the lovely lady who plays one of my favorite characters, Michonne, is also leaving. So with that, you really don't have anyone left except for Daryl and Carol, which I don't know. I'm kind of over the show. Yeah, they just introduced the big baddies, the Whisperers, which that arc in the comics is fucking fantastic. It kicks the shit out of the Negan arc. However, I just feel that it's grown played out and tiresome, and they're writing great characters into corners. They're putting them in boxes, and overall the show's just getting played out. And I would be happy to see season 10 be its last. I don't know if it will be, but I would be satisfied. Shit, I'd be happy with this season being the last, but.
Right. Yeah, it's not that I'm not a fan of the show anymore. It's just it grows weary on me now. I find it to be a little cliche, very tongue in cheek, and very cloistered, for lack of a better term. It's very like crushed in on itself. It's not, there's nothing fresh coming into it. It doesn't seem like they're pushing as hard as they obviously, writers don't push as hard. Not all writers. I'm not going to say all writers don't push themselves as hard. They get an ebb and flow, I suppose. I'm not a writer, so I'm not going to criticize writers. What I'm going to say is I think that they get an ebb and flow going, and they feel the character moving, through them and then out into public, right? The characters in my eyes should be more than what they were. The lead characters in your head are there from the first season, obviously, and second, third, fourth season, fifth season, right? And those leaders are always going to be. So when you're putting like Carol and Daryl in charge, it doesn't, it's off. It's just, it's an imbalance.
It doesn't feel like the same old show. And I think honestly, the first couple of seasons will still forever have my heart. They will forever and ever be the best of the best, back when Shane was there, and Andrea and Lori. And, it doesn't matter how much you really fucking hated these characters. I never hated Shane, adored him, love John Bernthal. He's got my heart too. But, like the character and Glenn and just everybody really, and back when Daryl didn't always look like he needed a shower, it just, the show ain't what it used to be. And, when they killed Carl, I was like, okay, I don't think I'm on board with this anymore. But I'm a completionist, so I have to see it through to the end. So I'll suffer through. And I'm sure a lot of people disagree, and a lot of people think, oh, the show's better than ever. But I just don't feel that way. So I've said my piece. That's what I chose to watch instead of the Grammys. Probably would have been less bored if I had watched the Grammys, to be honest with you. But whatever.
They're a little bit more lively there. They're a little bit more
right,
more risque there.
God.
Not to segue in, but I'll tell you what I watched last night.
Oh, there you go.
And this will segue right into where we're going.
I was wondering how you were going to do it. I like it.
Thread it like a needle and thread right in there. Look at them stitching it up. I watched the show again, the movie Aliens.
Yes.
The movie Aliens, from 1996. People, Ridley Scott's.
1996? You mean the 80s?
I'm sorry, 86. Yeah,
I was 86. Like, what?
Well, I jumped a whole 10 years. I don't know where 96 came from.
Joe's losing decades, people.
I sat on the couch for about 10 years after I watched it because I was just like, wow, that was awesome, man. I just sat there and didn't move or anything. No, I'm lying. I didn't sit there that long. It was only 3 years. I grew my hair. No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. All right, listen. Here it is in a nutshell. Fucking brilliant.
Of course. It's a classic. It is. It spawned a series that with tons of follow-ups, and whether or not you like the newer ones that Ridley Scott did, I am a big fan of them. Prometheus and Covenant, both prequel films. which is kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight, is the prequel trilogy dead with the Disney Fox merger ever so looming over everyone's heads? Will Disney kill aliens? Ridley Scott recently, well, not so recently, even as far back as last year, he was saying how he doesn't think that the third film, the follow-up to Covenant, is going to get made. Also, it seems like Disney and Fox, what are they going to do? Are they going to, going forward, be releasing PG-13 alien films? Are they going to just kill the series altogether?
No.
Which I don't want to see either of those things happen. I believe it was Alien versus Predator was a PG-13. Not saying that the movie sucked because it was PG-13, but the movie sucked.
Yeah, it was.
I just don't know that the series needs to go the PG-13 route, just because you'd lose so much of the horror aspect.
Right.
Imagine the xenomorphs. Imagine missing them bursting from the chests.
Right.
Imagine that getting cut because it's too gory or it's too violent.
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. You might as well not watch the movie. That's what it's based on. That, I mean, the Alien. When you mentioned the original movie Alien, the first scene that comes into everybody's head. I have two scenes that always repeat in my head: the alien bursting out of Nash's chest, and then Ash on the floor. His head.
Yeah. So imagine future Alien films without such scenes.
No,
you really can't. For example, I don't really think it's a great comparison, but something that was recently done for a cash grab was the Deadpool 2 PG-13 cut for Christmas.
The weird spin-off of, that was weird, right?
God, it was so unnecessary. They defended themselves, saying they wanted to introduce younger audiences to Deadpool, which, in my opinion, why? Deadpool was never meant for children. It is an adult comic book character.
That was a knife in that series back. That they stabbed themselves to death with that. I think I
don't think it killed Deadpool at all, because Ryan Reynolds is the perfect Deadpool.
He is.
I think the series will go on. Hopefully, they continue to make R-rated series, and then they let them maintain their creative control with it. But what a fucking cash grab, man! What a disappointing fucking cash grab. And that's what I'm hoping, that the Alien series does not take the cash grab route. And with that being said, my opinion is that it will not, especially with recent news of James Cameron apparently in an interview very recently said he has every intention to touch base with Neil Blomkamp.
Yes.
Who already has a script written for an Alien reboot. A couple of years ago, for whatever reason, it was shelved. The idea was shot down, probably because Ridley Scott had so many plans already in place with Prometheus and Covenant. With that being out of the picture now, though, with Scott's dreams being crushed, will the James Cameron, Neil Blomkamp Alien movie come to light? I genuinely hope so.
Well, now the question would be, obviously, well, first of all, Disney is smart enough to know how to make money. They've been doing it for forever. They know how to well, okay, this could be tough. This is a tough subject. Look what they did to Star Wars, you think, right? In your head, you go, oh my God.
I don't hate it, though. I don't hate the new Star Warses at all. I know a lot of people do, but I don't.
I don't hate them. I think they could have been, they owed their fans more than that, I think. In my opinion.
I agree to an extent. With the new Star Wars films, there's a little bit too much childlike wonder, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They're putting it in young person context where it's palatable for children almost to get this.
Yeah.
Now, Alien was never meant to be consumed for children. This was
never.
No, it was an adult series movie. All the prequels are set in a format that is should be above children's dialect. They shouldn't be able to understand this stuff. They should not be able to read it and understand it.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, kids at 12 know more than we did at 19, 20. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But without straying too far from the point, what I want to say is that Disney absolutely knows how to make money. And they know, come on, it's aliens. It's fucking aliens. Come on, it's aliens. They're not going to just drop this thing like a hot rock.
I hope not. The thing that does kind of stink, though, is that Prometheus didn't, I guess, get it wasn't received as well as the creators had hoped. And then Covenant, with such a huge budget, I guess apparently didn't make as much money as they needed it to. So that could also be part of why the third and final film in the prequel trilogy was shit canned. But with that being said, I hope that a reboot, because for people that don't know and that aren't very familiar, the Blomkamp script and the idea for the film was to reboot Alien, disregarding all the other sequels.
Right. Now, his one of the ideas that I loved about him, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
you're good.
I'm bubbling over with this fact, because I thought this was a stellar idea, and that was to bring Sigourney Weaver and Michael Biehn back into the cast. I never pronounced his last name.
I always said it as Bane. I thought it was Michael Biehn.
I think that would be absolutely. I mean, obviously, Newt now is going to be like 60, so we're just, come on, gotta get away from the aliens.
That's fine, I think the idea of Ellen Ripley. Okay, think of a really good comparison to this would be last year's Halloween, and we've talked about this movie a couple of times. It keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Laurie Strode as an older woman, an aged, hardened survivor with real life like PTSD and like as true to fucking life as someone really could act and portray in a film, as if this had really happened to a real person in real life. So imagine Ellen fucking Ripley.
They did it in Aliens. It was fucking priceless. I mean, I thought that was brilliant. They did it. It was like she came down back to Earth and settled, and she's trying to adjust to the fact that she's been asleep for so long in a hypersleep and got all this stuff going on. And then she realizes that they sent her there, to collect and bring back. They wanted to bring these fucking. She saw them and she's like, "What are you crazy? You put a colony there? Are you crazy?" But the acting. I've always been a Sigourney Weaver fan. Obviously. I had a crush on her in the beginning, like every other male I ever did. I thought she was hotter than hell. I loved her to death.
She still is.
She's a beautiful woman, beautiful. Sigourney, if you're listening, I love you very much. I hope to God you do come back to movies because we miss you and we want you in Alien. We do. We love Sigourney Weaver in Alien. I can't stress enough that the Neil Blomkamp's idea. This should be natural.
Yeah.
You did the prequels. You gave us enough background information. We know what the fuck these things are now. We know what makes them.
Yeah, and we know who created them. Some stupid ass AI named David. I hate him.
Yes, right. Now, if going forward, if you could bring all that full circle into a movie, wow. Now you're talking. 86 the Predator shit, okay? Lose that altogether. Don't stop with the Predator versus Alien. First of all, Alien would kick
They
the
don't ever need to meet. They don't ever need to meet.
No. That was obviously, we all know that's just Hollywood's cash and go thing. That's a
And
fast.
then the whole Ellen Ripley clone Winona Ryder movie, that was not
No, that
that
was
was
slap.
not in my top 10.
No, slap in the face. That's garbage.
That's
That to
not in
me,
my top 10.
no.
I do really from what I've read, Sigourney Weaver would absolutely love to return to the project. And again, that's just from what I've read. I don't know her. You know what I mean? Can't call her on the phone and say, hey, what do you think of this?
Can you imagine having her as a guest?
Wish
on
I
the
could.
show?
Shit. I
I'll
would just
ask.
imagine, I would just love to be her friend.
Weaver, if you're listening, we want you to be a guest on our show. Please, we love you. Yeah, I said it.
But I really think it would be cool to have, these people, these ex heroes basically, who are, sitting in their 60s, imagine what they're doing. Maybe they're retired, living off on another planet for all I know. And then they're like, God damn it, not again. And then they got to step up to the plate and they got to fucking fix shit. Or maybe they're like Laurie Strode in Halloween. Maybe they've spent the rest of their lives preparing for the moment that they would come to Earth. You know what I mean?
How about maybe here, Hollywood producing writers is an idea for you. Mayhaps I have one. When the Queen got blown out of the ship, perhaps she didn't die.
Who knows? I mean, I imagine that she didn't. I don't know how they would bring it back. I don't want to know. I want the movie. Give me the movie.
I want to see that battle with the Queen and get away from her, you bitch. I love that.
God, it's so great.
Hollywood. That was just amazing. She comes out with a metal fucking suit and gets the clamps on that thing's head. Loved it.
It's really great. And it's a great franchise that I don't want to see die forever.
No.
It's a really fabulous franchise that I grew up on, and it's just so wonderful. And as an adult, I even appreciate it even more, which is probably why I loved Prometheus and Covenant so much, because I do enjoy a great origin story, and those, in my opinion, were great origin stories. Scott did a great job with those. But we shall see what the future has in store for the Alien franchise. I guess my main hope, again, is that it does not get watered down, that they don't cut a bunch of good shit out and drop it down to a PG-13.
No, you cannot make this PG-13, people. This is what you would say, right? I don't feel so good. Something's not right. Oh God. Cut. And that would be it. Let's see your chest cavity, man.
We want to see blood explosions. We want to see blood explosions.
You need it. You gotta have arteries, massive arteries just flowing out of there, and all this shit going on dribbling down, and take off, because that's Alien.
That's not to detract and say that PG-13 horror is bad, because that's not true.
There
are a lot of really great PG-13 horror films. I mean, fuck, for Christ's sake, Jaws was PG.
Yeah.
PG-13. You know what I mean? I think as long as a film is not neutered to the point where it is, you're sacrificing quality,
right,
to make more money, because more people will be able to go see it. As long as you're not neutering a film for that reason, that's fine.
Agreed.
Because that's what happened with or the rumor, and that's what happened with the Meg, the Jason Statham shark movie that came out last year, was that they had to cut a lot of really great quality death scenes and a lot of really great gore. I just read an article this past weekend regarding the Meg, where there was a scene in which they had a guy was attacked, but you see him there in the water and you think he's still alive. And then when they go to get him, it's just his head, and his head kind of floats away in the water, and all the blood is just, and I'm thinking to myself, like, that would have been really cool. I hate when films have to sacrifice things just because they want them to reach a wider audience. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. As long as a film isn't neutered in such a way, PG-13 is fine. I made a little list of some of the films that I enjoy that have been PG-13, like the Insidious series.
Right.
That's a fantastic fucking series. I
Was,
liked all of them, even The
yeah.
Last Key, which had its flaws. I really genuinely enjoy the Insidious series. That's PG-13. Way back to when I was a kid, The Sixth Sense was PG-13. I think most of Shyamalan, or M. Night Shyamalan, I never pronounce his name right. I think most of his films are PG-13, which brings me to the other ones I have on the list. Unbreakable, Glass, Split, all great films, PG-13. A Quiet Place, one of the best movies of 2018, PG-13. You know, and I have a couple other ones on my list, you know, but it gets redundant. But PG-13 horror is a thing. It's a niche thing, you know. Look at The Ring, how successful that was, how successful so many PG-13 movies are. But then you think of the really classic horror movies, and that's what I think of when I think horror. I think scare the shit out of me, gross me out, make me sick, give me blood and guts, give me violence, give me death.
A little child guy, a little smaller than I am, Joe. I went to the movie theaters when I was, I couldn't have been more than 12, 13. I'm guessing at my age. No, I'm probably even younger. Probably around 11. Okay, I'm about 11, and I'm in the theater, and I'm not going to tell you what movie this is. Maybe you could figure it out. Okay. A lot of people may be able to figure this out just by this scene alone. And this scene, there's a point. The point is that this scene wouldn't have happened if it wasn't an R-rated movie. The scene opens in a cemetery. It's a dead of night. There's a young man and a young woman, and they're walking hand in hand, laughing, kind of jogging through the cemetery together. They find a spot, they lay down, and they start going at it and doing, you know, nature's taking over there. They're doing their thing. And at one point in the necking session there, the woman gets slightly naked. Okay, that's not going to happen. Okay, I know there's a lot of weird gender aggravation out there and people get all uptight and stuff. This was the 70s, and this is what people did. I'm just telling you what it was. I didn't make the movie. Don't hate us. Anyway, shirt comes flying off, and I'm 11 or 12 years old. I would never see this in a PG movie. I got snuck into an R-rated movie, and I'm like, whoa, you know, this is wow. And then the knife comes out and into the bare chest, you know, so you could actually see.
With like you can see true practical effects at work.
Yes. And this movie went on to become one of the biggest horror cult classic movies ever, and that movie is Phantasm.
Sorry, I got a text message. It's my bad this week. Look, I'm an asshole. Phantasm. Yes. Okay. So sorry, totally got sidetracked there. Yes. So thinking on that line of thinking, yeah, a lot of horror tropes have the titties in your face for no fucking reason, unnecessary nudity, just nudity for the sake of nudity. But isn't that part of the charm of some horror classics?
Yeah. Yes,
you know,
I mean,
the bimbo running from the woods and tripping and falling, and her shirt rips open, and you know her breasts spill out, and then oh no, now there's a hand around her throat and you know, getting stabbed. That's part of the charm of it.
You know, yeah, but you know what, Stevie? I don't think it was so much. Okay, now this is a visceral thing because you're watching the knife penetrate bare skin, and they're showing it in that respect. It's not through the shirt, like you're not going to see anything. They're showing you the effect of the knife going through bare skin, as it would appear like it was really happening. And that scene wouldn't. Well, obviously, if they stabbed her in the leg or something, I'm sure You know, they could have maybe switched it more dramatic the way
Okay,
it
wait.
was.
When you just said if they stabbed her in the leg, there's a scene in, and I know I'm gonna whatever, someone's gonna want to shoot me in the head or something for this. I've never seen the original House of Wax. I only saw the remake that came out what,
Yes,
2006 or something? I don't remember.
5 or 6, Paris Hilton.
Yes. So there is a scene in House of Wax where, and it's Paris Hilton's character, and she's in like a junk garage or whatever, and she's trying to escape from one of the killers, and he stabs her through the fucking back of her foot, right through the Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
And that made me I was like, oh, any scene in a movie where they cut that ankle, and it's been done a couple of times, it just gives me this God, because I can feel it. I can feel it. Like you could show somebody getting their throat slit or, you know, bashing a head in, and I don't know what it is about the Achilles tendon. It just makes me fucking cringe.
Your mobility is toast. You're not going anywhere. Yeah, you know it. And you know, for somebody who's very like you're on top of your game, you like to control the environment. You have to make sure that the environment is controllable. Once those tendons are cut,
oh yeah,
game over. You ain't going nowhere.
You're done, pal. Oh my God. I think of that scene every once in a while. Another type of thing that you wouldn't get in a PG-13 horror movie. You know, there's certain movies like Saw and another, like, you know, movies like that where they fuck with the eyeballs, and I don't like that either. Whenever anybody's fucking with eyeballs.
Well, A, you can see it coming. B.
Oh, hello. Bad pun. That was a bad dad joke.
I give myself my own rim shots, right? You know, you have a sensitive area, and you know, I mean, you're watching. I got a drill, and I'm coming at you, and you know, you're chained to a fucking chair, and I'm going to put this thing in your eyeball, and you know it's going to hurt beyond. And there's nowhere you can go, and you're just going to watch this thing come out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Now, can they show that shit in a PG movie, do you think?
I think to a certain extent, maybe. I think it's the amount of blood and violence. I know language isn't so much a factor. You can say one fuck word. And then, of course, like very, very subtle nudity, like butts, maybe. I'm not really entirely sure. But I guess the thing that I'm trying to say is just, I don't know. When I think horror, I really do think, you know, like I said earlier, give me gore, give me violence, give me death. You know, that's what I'm looking for here. I'm not into like these shocksploitation films. A lot of them I just feel like are just grandiose torture porn, and that doesn't really entertain me. You know, but I'm not knocking it. Hey, if that's your niche, if that's what you're into, dude, then that's what you're into. I have yet to see the film The House That Jack Built, starring Matt Dillon. PJ, one of the reviewers for Horror Metal Sounds, he just recently reviewed that. House That Jack Built also made the HMS Best of 2018 list. When I was just editing PJ's review the other day, fun fact that I didn't even know. So the film, before it could be released, a lot of the film had to be chopped out because it was NC-17.
Oh, wow.
And they wouldn't release it in theaters without it, you know, a lot of it being edited for content. So PJ, and he is one of these like shocksploitation guys, like that's his jam. And he went to, I think, so he got tickets. There was like a one night only screener for the NC-17 of The House That Jack Built. And he went and all the way to this theater. Something happened. There was technical difficulties. They couldn't show it. So him and his fiance, they trek across to another city to get tickets and try to catch it at another theater because it was just one night only. That right there is the perfect example of like a horror fan, man, you know, because you want to appreciate the writer and the director and all the people involved. You want to appreciate their true vision before somebody stepped in and said, hey, you gotta cut some of this out because people aren't going to like it. It's going to upset people. It's going to offend people. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. So that to me is like, I always genuinely love to hear stories like that. And I love fellow horror fans for that reason, because we will go out of our way to enjoy a film, a book, a show, whatever it is, whatever medium it is that we're consuming the horror in. Right. Horror fans will go out of their way to enjoy it the way it was meant to. It was intended.
Right, I agree. I agree. If it's worth it, you'll go. You know, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie, he's got something coming up called 3 out of Hell or Three from Hell.
3 from Hell. Yep, it's part of the original. I can't remember the family's name.
Yeah, I'm drawing
oh my god, I'm the worst. I know it's House of a Thousand Corpses, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the family in that movie. Jesus, good Lord.
In my head, and is anybody in chat?
Yeah, there's a couple of people watching. No one's saying anything, not for a little while.
Who's in there? Say hi to them, please. Is it anybody? Well, I can say hi to everybody in chat. If you know the answer to that question, answer the damn thing, because you know what? We're freaking tired and we're not doing all this for everybody. No, really, if you know, because we're drawing a blank. That's why we're asking, really. But anyway.
The Firefly family. I don't know how I forgot that. Johnny Lee, Baby Tina, or Tiny, Gloria, and Otis.
Tiny, yes.
Thank you, Google. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that I couldn't think of the Firefly family. Wow, I feel like it was just right there on the tip of my tongue. But anyway,
if I drink the rest of this down from here to here, I would have known the answer to that question. Yeah, that would have been it. So
when is 3 from Hell coming out? I wonder. I don't know the exact release date.
Good question. I don't think there is one. I think it's sometime within a year. I don't think there's an actual release date for it yet.
Yeah, just says 2019, which is very
no release date. I don't even think there's a trailer out for it yet. I haven't seen one, if there is.
I haven't seen one either. I'm very stoked for it.
Well, my question was, do you categorize that into what you were talking about? Is that a franchise that gets subjugated and hacked away for posterity and to make it more palatable for people, or to bring it down to a level where the rating can change and make it more wide range so people can all enjoy that movie, like kids and stuff?
I don't I definitely don't. I don't think Rob Zombie is the type of person who has ever sat back and said, oh, I need to edit this for content because not enough people are going to like it. Because I don't think he fucking cares what people think. You know,
I agree.
All of his movies, let me rephrase that, because not all of them, because 31 was really bad and I didn't like it at all. Which was, it's a shame. I was really looking forward to 31. The concept was fucking awesome. I don't know if you've seen it, but I was very disappointed in 31. However, with that being said, even though the film, in my opinion, was not that great, it still nothing was held back. Nothing was cut in any way that I know of. So I don't, like I said, I don't think Rob Zombie is the type of person that would ever say, oh, let me sacrifice my vision and make this fucking film a PG-13, because that's just not Rob Zombie. No. He's not going to do that.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I guess one of the reasons why I was thinking about it is the way that society has been in the last 5 years or so. The way things are, in my opinion, spinning a little out of control with censoring a lot of things and saying that things that have been in place for a few hundred years are wrong. With that in place more rampantly and more widespread, I'm wondering what kind of an effect that's going to have on the film industry as a whole, because in a lot of ways, unfortunately, both worlds collide at some point, especially in the monetary end of things, where politics and artistry meet. And I'm not saying one side's better or worse than the other. I'm not fingering out anybody. I'm not saying shit about that. What I'm saying is that is just a fact. That is something that absolutely happens in this world. And I'm wondering what kind of an impact going forward that's going to have on the horror industry or the metal community as well. I mean, it's felt there too. It's felt widespread. So I'm wondering how much that's going to play in, or how much do you think that might play into movies, horror movies?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that the horror community and the metal community are probably two communities that are difficult to offend our sensibilities. So I really don't fucking think it matters. Like, I mean, that's just my opinion on it, is just like, I think of like, there's always, it doesn't matter what decade you're in. It doesn't matter what the political climate is. It doesn't matter what people are feeling or thinking or me. Every decade has shit movies and music, and every decade has great movies and music. I think as far as censorship goes, I think probably what we'll see is going to be better foreign horror, like the French exploitation films. I wouldn't mind, and I love foreign horror anyway, so I don't mind seeing more of it. I want to see more from the world stage, as opposed to just the Hollywood cash grabs that we get in America. So True. In my opinion, I think censorship could be a blessing and a curse, but I also don't think that there will be much censorship in the horror industry, because Good. It's going to find its way to the table, especially with so many streaming services. So, for example, okay, this studio or that studio doesn't want to do this, or doesn't want to release a film because it's too taboo. One of the streaming giants is going to pick it up. Amazon's going to pick it up. Netflix is going to pick it up. Fucking Hulu's going to pick it up. Somebody will pick it up and release it to the masses. Or, think back a couple of years ago on the comedy that Seth Rogen and James Franco did. Basically, probably the best thing I've ever seen.
Some technical issues here.
They were making fun of North Korea, and they end up killing a bunch of North Koreans in the movie, and nobody wanted to release it. North Korea said, "Oh, if you release this movie, we're going to bomb you," whatever, right?
I remember that.
Fucking ridiculous threats as usual. But you know what they did? They said, fuck it. They released it. They said, pirate this movie. Pirate this movie. So if it gets to the point where everybody's 1984ing it and we can't fucking do anything because someone's watching, fuck it. Piracy lives on. People will find a way to release content and get it to people, you know what I mean, in the way that they intended to do it. So like I said, the horror community is not one to be offended easily. So I don't think that we have much to worry about.
I'm happy to hear that.
That's my opinion, though.
I'm very happy to hear that. I don't want to see that happening anywhere down the line for anybody, because I don't want to see art limited and squashed in any way. I want to see things move forward in the way that they're supposed to, and come across to people the way that
I mean,
intended.
If in the future everything's going to end up being like the Interview movie was, then so be it. You know, people will find a way to watch it. People will pay to see things. You know what I mean? Shit. If there was a service right now, I would probably pay $50 a month to see a movie in my own house, like 6 months before it came out in theaters, because I don't like waiting. I am all about instant gratification. I don't like going to movie theaters either, because they're just kind of gross now, and most people are not very clean or sanitary or healthy. So every time I go to the movie theater, I'm like grossed out. But that's just like my because
we have hand sanitizer. Bring sanitizer with me.
Seriously. But you know, I would do that, you know, because I'm so into media in that way that I would like, if it cost extra to see an uncut NC-17 version of a movie, whatever, fuck you. I'll pay the $3 extra. I don't care. So I think maybe if it gets to that point, like whatever, we need to reevaluate like what are our priorities when it comes to entertainment. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and you brought up the metal community and censorship, which, you know, again, I'm not very familiar with what's been censored in metal. If you want to enlighten me a little bit.
Well, obviously over the years, there's been a lot censored. The mainstream doesn't tolerate it. Regular radio stations won't play a lot of it because of topic content and or meanings that, you know, things that records point to, religion practices and stuff like that. They won't touch a lot of stuff. In the mainstream, it's like taboo. It's not really an outright censorship, but it's a form of it because it's just not done. It's not touched. Like, you're not going to hear some of your favorite death metal bands on a major radio station anytime soon. It's just the way it's been and the way it'll always be. Unfortunately, and fortunately, because it doesn't become pasteurized by industry standards and, you know, Proco and keeping up with the Joneses and so forth. There's no corporate push for it. You know what I mean? It's pure and it stays pure, and that's why fans of death metal are as fervent about their bands as they are, is because they want to keep it that way. And there's nothing really wrong with that. I agree with that 100% because it's the way it's supposed to be. Art was intended, in my eyes, to be ingested by the viewer the way it was meant to be presented to the viewer.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So I don't believe, even if it's a bad idea, you want to present it, it's what you're presenting. So that should come across, and then decide if it sinks or swim on its own accord, but not ripping this off and changing this and putting this back together like this because it's more palatable, or getting rid of all this because it's no good. Here it is the way it was supposed to be. Take it or leave it, and tell me what you think of it the way it is. That's what art is.
No, I like that. You know, that point of view. I think that it's one that more people should have, especially when it comes to art. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone can critique and review in ways that they want to get their ideas and thoughts out there. You know, especially like now with like social media and the internet, everybody's just fucking oversharing. But whatever, that's fine. Let me not like go off on a tangent or anything. But you know,
it's okay, Steve. It's our show. You can do that.
As long as people continue to just keep an open mind when it comes to non-mainstream,
Stevie?
I think there wouldn't be a problem. Hello, Joseph. I don't know. Technical difficulties abound this evening. I don't really understand why.
There you
Hello?
are.
Okay. I was just saying technical difficulties have like just abound. They abound this evening. I don't know. Whatever. Fucking internet censoring us. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, see? You bastards! We know you're watching, right? We know. They're doing it, those prick fucks.
Anyway, but I guess just to close out this portion, before we move on to our final topic, was just what I was saying was like, as long as people continue to keep an open mind when it comes to the non-mainstream, you know, horror and metal and everything like that, it'll continue to thrive because it has such a, both genres on both sides, opposite ends of the spectrum, film and music, have such a close-knit community and such dedicated fans, that it's not fucking going anywhere. Nothing's happening to it.
No, there's always going to be cult followings. I mean, you know, I played in a metal band that was very underground, completely underground, and very cult followed. And you know, the fans of that band were pure. I mean, it was just love. It was a big fuzzy love fest. You know, it was great. And you have that in place rampantly all over the metal community and the underground. And you know, these bands that people hear about that back in the late 80s, you know, early 90s, came up that roller coaster ramp, you know, and they breached the line of major, you know, radio, and then they went back under. All of a sudden, you know, people are like, "Oh, that band was great, man. I wonder where they are." And they've been putting records out, like, you know, they've been here the whole time. They never left. You did, all right. Mainstream marketing took you and fucking whipped you away on that rocket, and you were gone forever. And they've been here in the underground like they have been when they started. So these bands are still in place. That end of things is never going to change in horror movies or in the film industry and or in metal and music, more so in metal. Obviously, metal is definitely still underground. And, you know, it's not like it's the Resistance, you know, it's just, it's, you know what I mean? It's just not palatable for everybody. So it gets pushed under, you know. We would love, I'm sure, to have, no, and again, you know, I'm very torn on that. Would I love to see metal mainstream? No. You know why? Because it would become pasteurized. All right. I do not smoke pot. Okay. I'm going to use this as an innuendo. I'm just going to say this. I don't smoke pot. All right. Some people do. Okay. And for the people that do, all right, I'm sure you're all well aware that if the government gets their hands on that shit, they're going to do shit to it to make it more fucking sellable, like make more money on that. So they're going to fucking do shit to it. And you're going to go, the fuck is that, man? You know, it's not going to be the right shit. It's going to be different. The same thing with metal, okay? You're going to fucking throw that stuff up there. They're going to take it and do all this stuff to it, like the euphemism I made about fucking Motorhead going into a tunnel and coming out with, you know, Creed and some other weird shit thrown in there. And fucking, it's like, that's what mainstream does to things, all right? It just warps it. It takes it and makes like a warped vision of what it was, all right? In my opinion, this is solely my opinion now, okay? I'm not speaking for anyone but me, especially in metal. And I've been around the metal industry since I was fucking 12 years old, so I know a little bit about it, all right? I've been watching, I've been here playing, I've been here listening and absorbing and taking in and being out there in the culture and seeing and doing. So I know a little bit about it. And what I'm trying to say is that if you take that and you give it that push into mainstream world, it's going to pasteurize it. It's not going to be what it is now. And for that fact, for that much, I am absolutely grateful that it stayed the way it has. And it's like you get this thing handed to you and you go, wow, you know, a million other people don't have this.
Well, I mean, something it reminded me of while you were speaking, as far as like on the horror side of that, is like, look at The Purge. Okay. The Purge was fucking brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then they made that limited series event on USA, and I don't know if you watched it. It was just, it didn't feel like The Purge to me.
Pasteurized.
And that's it. It was so fucking filtered and watered down, and it was made to be appealing to everyone. And that's not what horror is. Horror is not supposed to be appealing to everyone.
That's
and
exactly
so
my point.
I completely agree with mainstream. It's not to me, when people say, "Oh, you sold out," no, because everybody needs to put food on their plate. Everybody needs to make money. So when people say like bands sell out, like fuck you. Are you in the band? You know what I mean? Like that's my response to that. Are you in that fucking band? Shut up. But I just I don't know. I just really feel like I totally am on the same page with that. Is that like they just what mainstream pasteurizes it and it just ends up not being what it is supposed to be.
Yeah, no, it comes out of the chute, completely different than where it was going. And, a lot of times, the creators of this stuff are falling behind and going, no, 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 no. They don't want it. By then it's too late, and you got this mess. And, but then all of a sudden, mainstream has the bigger share of money, and money rules the world. And,
of course. I mean, even, going to the chat for a second, even Adrian agreed. He said, Joe, you're spot on.
Thank you.
Friends of his and bands prefer to stay underground because, I can understand why they would want to, because too many, what's this the old like cliche little saying, too many soups spoil the, too many chefs spoil the soup.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say it, but you get the point. You get the point. I'm not good with like
ladles in the pot of yellow poisoning, botulism from
God, seriously. Too many forks in the drawer. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know the point I'm trying to get across. You know the point I'm trying to get across.
Again, I should have been corporate because I go in excess with everything. Everything I do is over excess. I do everything like I puke it up. I gotta make sure I kill that thing with a fork dead before I'm done with the point. But yeah, that is the point, Stevie, and you're right. Too many fucking chefs in the kitchen spoil the soup. And when you have one chef in there that knows what they're doing, you're good. Don't fuck with
let it alone. Leave it be.
Oh shit, that needs paprika. Whoa, fucking killing the thing. It's like I'm making waffles, dude. They don't get paprika, okay? It's no paprika in the waffle. But that's what happens. And people get like, and then the fans that you had originally get so fucking offended because you are now taking the purity out of this thing, and they don't blame corporate America for that shit. They blame you, you
like,
Adrian, let this happen? They
just brought up Metallica. He said that's a good example. That maybe a part of them regrets the direction that they took after the Black Album.
Adrian, you know what, Adrian, you are spot on with that. And you know what? I was actually sitting. We're probably thinking of you. Think a lot like me. I like this guy. We were on the same page with that. For me, it was absolutely the Black Album. And everybody's like, no, it was Load, Reload. No, it was the Black Album that they started taking a different direction. Now, every band grows, right? Every artist grows. There's a progression to every artist, man. And if you don't, if you stay the same, some get away with it, some don't. I don't think you really should, or you can get away with being the same shit but anyway, that's another topic. If you have growth, you're going to change. If you have change, you are subject for approval. Okay?
Absolutely.
So now, if you take that a step further and put that into the mass market, you're amplifying that change, and you're really, not just because they have that kind of a broadcast power, but they're going to change it. They're going to morph it into what they feel is palatable for the American society, okay, or the world, in society in general, not just here in the States, Adrian, as well, in Ireland and around the world, in Europe, all over. It's the same thing. So what happens is you have this push from the underground to keep it cloistered and keep it tight and, keep it under wraps and tight, because we don't want to give up the thing that we have preserved. It's like a preservation. It's almost like the Illuminati, you know what I mean? It's because we want to keep it pure. We don't want corporate shit getting involved in that and this big money push and making it disgusting and ugly. And we want to keep it the way it's supposed to be. Okay. So now you have a band like Metallica, who was so influential and so adored that their stature grew so fast and so high that they pushed themselves for a change. And while they were morphing into themselves, being themselves in a different spot, down the road, they were furthering themselves and growing. While they were doing that, these fucking labels got their fucking hands into that shit and knotted it up and twisted it and made it a little bow, and they pushed it down everybody's throat. And now one of my icon guitar players comes walking out on stage with a fucking stole and black nail polish, and I'm going, what the hell happened to Kirk Hammett? What the hell happened to, what the fuck happened to him? What is he? When did this happen,
Yeah.
Lars Ulrich is wearing a boa. In what fucking alternate universe is this,
Well, and that's like that's also another topic we can table for another time is how is image influenced by mainstream and how is it influenced by I don't know. That's just a whole topic that we can go on to. We're over our hour though. So real quickly, we can just go to our final topic before we wrap things up, because it is something that happened here very recently, is that Ozzy was hospitalized. What was it? Complications with the flu, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that sent like a shockwave around the world, right? Because that's not just, Ozzy from the Ozzy Show. That's Ozzy Osbourne from Black fucking Sabbath. In the metal community, Sabbath is revered as one of the, if not the premier pioneer bands of metal, right? So you have this iconic figure go down, and it sends a shockwave through the entire community. And one of my immediate fears was, who is going to pick up the gauntlet? Who for the next generations? Like, we had Sabbath. What do the next generations have? Who are these bands that are as prolific as Black Sabbath? Are there any? Does anybody know? And that's a question that I'm posing to you guys. I want answers from the chat. I want answers from our followers. I want our followers to be a little bit more involved in this show. I want to know what your thoughts are. Enlighten me. I've been in metal for fucking 30,000 years, right? And I'm coming up blank. Overkill, staple band, Creator, obviously, Exodus, and then you're going to have people just screaming band names out, oh, no, right? Because you want to get your band heard. But what I'm talking about is who can carry the torch for metal if Ozzy dies. Obviously, the music's going to be here. Obviously.
Yeah. The man is in his 70s. No one lives forever. He also, for many, many years, did not take care of himself the way that he should have. With that being said, eventually, he's not immortal. Eventually he will pass, but I wouldn't, he's an icon. He's a legend. Especially, like, to me, when I think of Ozzy, I always go to Black Sabbath because I prefer Black Sabbath over his solo stuff. But, that's just my opinion. But you think of him and there's just decades upon decades upon decades. He's legendary. And, it is going to be a big blow to the metal community when he does pass away. Supposedly they're saying that he's out of the woods. He's out of the ICU. He'll pull through and be okay. However, that is a great question, Joe. Who will pick up the torch? Or will the torch go out? Who knows?
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to say.
I'm in the industry for a long time, and I've seen so many great metal bands that are still out there. Obviously, I don't think metal it's just going to fall off the fucking plate and die, because that's not going to happen. I'm not one of those people that's shallow-minded enough to think that one band alone carry the entire fucking metal community. For
No,
40
absolutely.
years.
What I was saying, like, I didn't say like, oh, the torch will go out and metal will die. No, that's
No,
not what I
no.
meant. Just that I don't think there will ever be another Ozzy Osbourne. You know?
No, absolutely. And I wasn't referring to you, Stevie. What I'm saying is, I don't want people listening to this feed to think that that's what I'm saying. I don't want people to come across with the idea that I personally am under the notion that Ozzy was like the forebearer. Sabbath was so influential and so big in the metal movement before it was metal that a lot of people nod to it and a lot of people don't. But whether you do or you don't, the fact is there. Like, if there's an axe murderer in your closet, it doesn't matter if the fucking door is open or closed. The axe murderer is there. Okay, it's not going to change. It's going to be. He's going to be. Oh, there he is. Hey, oh, shut the door. You know. Oh, are you in there? Yeah, no. Yeah, it's still in there because that's what the fact is. Okay, and the fact is that is what Sabbath did for metal. And
yeah, I mean, even in the chat, they are saying. Unfortunately, there will never be another band like Black Sabbath or another band, you know.
So, who is it, guys? Who's going to pick it up? I mean, okay, no, there won't be another band like Black Sabbath. They were the first. They were the pioneer. They were the fucking first engine to run through.
Man, and their music is pretty fucking timeless too. Like, and that was something like, Jesus Christ. My father loves hearing this story, but when my mom used to get mad because he would make me listen to Black Sabbath. And I'm like, bear in mind, I'm like, here I am, 2 years old. And my father is like, learn these words, learn the words to Electric Funeral, and then sing them to mommy. She'll think it's funny. And she used to get so mad. But like, you know, like I have great, really fond memories of Sabbath. And so, you know, and it was a band I grew up on, you know, so it's, you know, maybe my musical taste has changed over the years and, you know, I prefer to listen to different things now, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still good to me and I will still randomly listen to it. You know what I mean? But you know, it's going to be a somber day when the man finally goes.
Yeah, no, you know, we lost Lemmy Kilmister not too long ago, and well, what seems to me not too long ago. It's some years back now, but it all happens so relatively fast, it seems. So obviously, in every generation, you have your icons, and our predecessors had, you know, different icons like Frank Sinatra, you know, Fred Astaire, and that whole Rat Pack from Vegas, you know, and you know, I guess you don't realize until you get to that point where you start to see, you know, your empire crumbling and, you know, pieces of it falling, and you start realizing your own mortality, obviously. And this is way too deep for this show.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then the Hindonites came forward. No, I'm kidding. I don't even know who the Hindonites are. I don't even think they're a real fascist group. They're not a group at all.
Jesus.
We can start them. We'll become the Hindonites. All right. Anyway, what I want to say is that we're getting up there, man. We're getting up there. We're getting older by the minute. Our icons are here, you know, people that we hold in great esteem and covet them because of what they've done for our genre of music. Who the hell is fucking next? So you guys in the chat, I'm testing you to see who's really listening. Adrian, I know, is listening. Adrian is astute. If there was an award for it, you get it. I want you guys to all think about who is the next prolific metal band to rise up and fucking carry the fucking banner for us through the next age, for the younger crowds, for the younger generations.
Yeah, and I'll mull that over and think about it too. But that is definitely going to have to be a topic for the next show because now we are 10 minutes over.
Absolutely.
I could keep going for like probably another hour talking about this shit, but we got to keep things short and sweet. Hold those attention spans. But so really, we'll pick this up next week, or actually, no, not next week.
Next Friday.
I have to work Monday.
Yes, next week.
So February the 18th, I believe. I am working. flu, so we will not be having a show next Monday. However, the Monday after, we definitely fucking will be back in full effect.
Yeah!
We will be transitioning to a new channel that will be dedicated to Horror Metal Cast, movie reviews, music reviews. Gonna be doing a couple of those maybe per week.
Don't have pictures of my cat on it or nothing.
No, I'm really stoked about launching the new channel. So I'll be posting those links on Facebook, on the Horror Metal Sounds page, the Breadwinner Trilogy page. So you guys, if you haven't already, go to Facebook, look up Horror Metal Sounds, give the page a like. It's going to give you all sorts of awesome metal and horror stuff, as well as you can stay up to date with links, especially when the new podcast page goes live. Also, head to my Facebook, facebook.com/the Breadwinner Trilogy, and you can stay up to date with my reviews and everything like that. With that being said, I'm all out of words. I don't know what you got, Joe.
I got a Helmer recording happening that's fucking slamming. That's coming up. You can check that out at the Helmer page on Facebook. Helmer, Helmer. Get up there and check that out. That's one band. This is gonna make a comeback. I am reprinting this. This is
nice.
DTA, circa 203. I think it even says it on there. I think it's 2003. This puppy came out. I'm gonna be reprinting. I'm gonna be taking pre-orders. Okay, so if anybody wants one of these, this is called the No Rest in Peace demo from DTA. That's reprinting probably within the next 2 weeks. It'll be printed. So I'm taking pre-orders. I'm only going to make fucking 50 of these things. Come and get them now.
Yes, people, send your pre-orders into Joe. Do not miss out.
Please, no, because this is going to be probably a once in a lifetime thing. Once in my lifetime, anyway. I don't know about you guys, but anyway. I got a ton of other shit going on too. And if anybody needs to go on a fucking cruise, you better talk to my wife, Christina. Besides a cruise, a vacation, anywhere in the world.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, very good. Thank you so much, guys, for being in the chat today and for tuning in live. Again, share with your horror and metal loving friends and family. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you not next Monday, but the following Monday. So keep your eyes peeled for the links. Joe and I will be sharing them.
Two Mondays from now, people. 1, 2. Awesome. All right. We'll check you guys out. Everybody have a happy and safe week. Happy Valentine's Day to all. We love you, and we'll see you guys next Thursday, that next show.
Bye, guys.